Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel Vision Class. Today we are seeing about NCERT UGC NET Paper 2 Commerce Unit 1 Business Environment and International Business Part 3. Right? I hope all of you understand the previous parts topic of this unit. If it is useful, please like, share and give your comments in comment box. Fine. Now, in this part, we are seeing about legal environment, Consumer Protection Act, socio-culture factors and their influence on business and corporate social responsibilities, that is CSR. Fine. So, let's see one by one. Legal environment. The legal environment of business is defined as the framework of rules and regulations by laws and various legislation. Legislation means rules or to a particular activity, right, that govern the day-to-day working of the business organization. The legal environment dominates the business environment of a country. The legislature of the country, being the law-making authority, frames the law, and the executive ensures that those rules are followed, and if these rules are not implemented properly, the judiciary of the country comes into the picture in order to take necessary actions by imposing fines and penalties. Right? Various laws that govern the business environment in India are business law, corporate laws, environment laws. Right? So let's see first business law. A business law, Indian Contract Act 1872. It contains all the rules and regulation which helps the business as well as non-business entities in entering into various contracts and agreements. Right? Contract Act 1972. What it is says, we will see. There must be a valid contract among the parties of the contract. How it is valid? We will see now. Valid contract is enforceable by laws. A valid contract must be involve at least two parties, right? There must be intention of the parties to enter the contract. The parties must be competent enough to perform the contract, right? The intention of the parties and the contract must be lawful in nature. The contract must be certain of in nature so that it can be performed and must be possible to perform. There must be a consideration for fulfilling the contract, right? Next business law is Sales of Goods Act 1930. This law what says? We will see. Sales of Goods Act constitute one of the most important types of a contract under the law in India. All the contracts or agreements related to the sale of goods are governed under this act. This act says there must be a two different parties to a contract of sale, that is there must be a buyer and seller, right? A person cannot buy his own goods. There must be a contract of sale between both the parties, right? There must be a transfer of property in order to complete the process of the sale. Here, transfer of property means to transfer the ownership rights of the property, right? The main subject of the contract must be goods as per section 2 subsection 7. Goods means every kind of movable property other than actionable claims and money, right? What is meant by goods? Goods means every kind of movable property other than actionable claims and money, and include stock and shares, growing crops, grass and things attached to or forming part of the land which is agreed to be served before sales or under the contract of sales. Here, actionable claims means claims which can be enforced by legal action. For example, a book debt, that is debt supported by an entry by the creditor in his account book. A book debt cannot be counted category of goods because it cannot be sold but can only be assigned as per the Transfer of Property Act. Right? Understand? Actionable claim means what? There must be a consideration for the sales or transfer of property. The consideration must be in monetary terms. The contract to sell includes both sales and agreement to sell. There is no particular format to constitute a sale. A contract of sale of goods can be made by just an offer and acceptance. Right? Third business law is what? Indian Partnership Act 1932. This act says Indian partnership as a relationship between persons who have agreed to share the profits of the business carried on by all or and any of the acting for all. Right? What it is says? As a relation between persons who have agreed to share the profits of the business carried on by all or any of them acting for all. Those individuals who have entered into a partnership are individually known as partners and collectively a firms. The essential characteristics of this act are there should be at least two persons who are competent to form a partnership. The partnership relation is contractual in nature. It arises from the contract and not from the status of the partners. The agreement may be expressed, that is, it should be oral or written or implied. Right? The agreement may be for a fixed period of a time or for the execution of a particular venture. The partnership agreement must have all the essential elements of a valid contract like any other contract. Object of the partnership must be to make profits. Profits from the venture must be distributed among the partners in an agreed ratio. Right? Next business law is Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. This act says a negotiable instrument can be a check. Right? Negotiable instrument means what? It can be a check, demand draft, or a promissory notes. The basic property of a negotiable instrument is the presence of certain amount of money, a particular date and time. Transferability and legal creditability of the instrument and a promise undertaking to a pay. There are certain preassumptions which apply to all negotiable instruments until and unless the country is proved. These presumptions are consideration, date, time of acceptance, time of transfer, the order of endorsements, stamps, holder, presumed to be a holder in due course, proof or protest. Right? These are some business laws. Now we have seen about corporate laws. Corporate laws are the rules and registration, shares capital, board meetings, minutes, dividend, powers of the board, auditing, mergers and amalgamation, listing of shares, dissolutions and winding up, etc. Now see one by one Companies Law. Companies Act 2013 replaced the Companies Act of 1956. This act governs all type of companies in the country, whether listed or unlisted. The features of Companies Act: women empowerment in the corporate sector. This act has brought in the mandatory appointment of women directors on board for certain class of companies. Right? The first feature of this Companies Act 2013 is what? Women empowerment in the corporate sector, right? Then second one is the Companies Act 2013 brought in the clause of corporate social responsibility for a certain class of companies. Then more powers have been given to the shareholders of the company. The act introduced national company law cross border mergers with the prior permission of the Reserve Bank of India, right? Next corporate law is Consumer Protection Act 1986. This act was enacted for the protection of the consumer in India. It has the mechanism for readdressal of the grievances of the consumers, right? This act says the Consumer Protection Act applies to all goods and services until and unless the union government exempts it, right? The Consumer Protection Act covers all public, private and corporative sectors. Provisions are compensatory in nature. It educates consumers against exploitations. It provides justice to aggrieved customers. Competition Act 2002. This act was enacted for the economic development of the country, for the establishment of commission to prevent practices that have an adverse effect on the competition, right? Then Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practice Act 1969. The MRTP Act aims to prevent the concentration of economic power in the hands of a few groups of people. This provides for control of monopolies, preventions of unfair trade practices. Main aim of this act are control monopolies, prohibition of unfair trade practice, right? Next law is Competition Act 2002. This act was enacted for the economic development of the country, for the establishment of commission to prevent practices that have an adverse effect on the competitions, right? In order to promote sustainable competition in markets, to protect the interest of the consumer and to ensure freedom of trade in India, right? Some objective of this act are to ensure freedom of trade in the Indian market, to prevent the domination of the big players in the market, to promote healthy competition in the market, to protect the interest of the consumer by providing them with good products and services at reasonable prices, right? To prevent the practice that may bring adverse impact on competition in the Indian market. Next laws is environmental laws. This act provides for the protection of environment and its improvement. The Environment Protection Act provides the framework for planning and implementing the long-term requirements of environmental safety, and also lays down a system of speedy and adequate response to situations that threaten the environment, right? Under this act, the central government has the power to take measures necessary to improve and protect the quality of the environment. It has set standard for emissions and discharge of pollution in the atmosphere by any person carrying on the activities of an industry, right? It regulates the location of industries, it manages the hazardous waste and protects public health. The central government issued notifications under the Act for the protection of ecologically sensitive areas and other places like reserves. The central government also issue guidelines regarding matters under the Environment Act when required, right? These are the various laws that govern the business environment in India, right? The next one is Air Preventions and Control of Pollution Act 1981. This act was enacted to counter the problems associated with air pollution. Ambient air quality standards were established. The Air Act was enacted to combat air pollution by prohibiting the use of substances and fossil fuels, as well as by regulates the appliances that give rise to air pollutions, right? It provides for the enactment and establishment of boards at central as well as state levels. The Air Act empowers the state governments in consultation with the SPCBS and can declare any region within the state as air pollution control region. Under this act, the establishment or operation of any industrial plant in the pollution control area requires permissions from SPCBS. SPCBS are also required to test the quality of air in air pollution control areas. Also inspect pollution control equipment and manufacturing process, right? Next one is water prevention and control of pollutions. Act 1974. This act says that was enacted to provide for the prevention and control of water pollution. It also provides the establishment of boards for the control and prevention of water pollution, right? This act prohibits the industry and manufacturing units from discharging of pollutants into water bodies beyond a given standard, and it also lays down penalties for non-company. Next environmental law is the National Green Tribunal 2010. This act provides for setting up of national green tribunals which will expeditiously dispose of cases relating to environmental protection and conservation of forest resources and other natural resources, right? These all various laws that govern the business environment in India. I hope all of you understand all these laws business environment. Fine. Next is Legal Environment Consumer Protection Act. We will see in detail, which is a part of UGC NET syllabus, right? Consumer Protection Act, okay? Also called COPRA. CO stands for the initial letter of consumer, CO, and PR stands for initial letter of protection, that is PR, and A stands for initial letter of act. In this way, it is a COPRA, enacted in 1986 for the protection of consumers, right? It has the mechanism for redressal of the grievances of consumers through consumer councils and other authorities. This is considered as Magna Carta in the field of consumer protection and checking of unfair trade practices. It also deals with the issue of defects in the goods and deficiency in services, right? Some features of a Consumer Protection Act we are seeing now. The Consumer Protection Act applies to all goods and services until and unless the union government exempts it. The Consumer Protection Act covers all public, private and cooperative sectors. Provisions are compensatory in nature, educates consumers against exploitation. It provides justice to aggrieved customers. Consumer protection councils are being established and has also been established at national, state and district levels, right? Protection of the rights of the consumer is the key objective of the central councils, that are right to consumer education, right to redressal against unfair or restrictive trade practice, right to be heard and assured that the consumer's interest will receive due consideration at appropriate forms, right to be informed about the quality, standard, quantity, price of the goods and services, right? Right to be protected against goods and services that are hazardous to life and property. A three-tier jurisdiction system has been framed in order to redress the issues faced by customer, that are district forums. All companies of the consumer should be instituted in the district forum only those companies should be entered whose compensation value is not more than rupees 20 lakhs, right? Consumer courts do not have jurisdiction on case where the matter relates to goods or bought for commercial purpose, right? Then state commission, this body is entitled to entertain complaints involving volume more than rupees 20 lakhs. It entertains appeals against the order of any district forum within the state. Commissions has the power to call for records and pass appropriate orders in any consumer disputes, right? Then National Commission, it entertains complaints of value exceeding rupees 1 crore, entertains appeals against the order of any state mayor. It can call for records and pass appropriate order in any pending consumers dispute, right? Foreign Exchange Management Act, that is FEMA 1999. This act of parliament was passed in order to replace the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, that is FERA 1973. It was passed to aimed and regulate the law relating to foreign exchange in order to promote the maintenance of foreign exchange market in India, right? To improve the central government to impose necessary restrictions on activities like that of making payments to people staying outside India or receiving payments from the foreign pays. Each and every foreign transaction involving India or foreign currency must be carried on by authorized person whom the government gives its authorization, right? This act does not apply to Indian citizens outside India. With the growing dynamism, globalization, and growth of foreign trade, this act also paved the way for the introduction of Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. FEMA regulates from its 5 zonal offices situated at Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, and Jalandhar. Its head office, known as Enforcement Directorate, is situated at Delhi, which is headed by director. The directorate is divided into 5 zonal offices headed by deputy directorate. These zonal offices are further divided into 7 sub-zonal offices which are headed by the assistant director and 5 field units headed by chief enforcement officers. Right? All these about legal environment of a business and Consumer Protection Act, that is FEMA. I hope all of you understand all concept of legal environment and all business laws, right? So keep watching, like, share, subscribe to my channel to getting such type of knowledgeable videos. Thank you.